This weekend, China's official news agency Xinhua announced that the country will end the controversial practice of using the organs of executed prisoners for those in need of transplants. The government only admitted relatively recently that organs from executed prisoners are systematically harvested. Huang Jiefu, the doctor in charge of reforming the transplant system in China, said the practice would end by around the middle of next year. Speaking at the Chinese Transplant Congress held last week in the city of Hangzhou, he said that by mid-2014, all hospitals licensed to carry out organ transplants will be required to stop using organs from executed prisoners. From then on, only the use of organs received through a recently established national voluntary donation system will be permitted. A pilot volunteer organ donor program has already been established in 25 provinces and municipalities since February, in fact, and it's expected to be extended nationwide by the end of this year. Xinhua said organ supply is still far short of demand, however. Of around 300,000 patients waiting for organ transplants each year, only about 1 in 30 finally gets one. At the same time, there has been a crackdown on the underground trade in illegal organ trafficking that the demand has given rise to. Now, to find out what China's online community have to say about the topic, we're now joined by our researcher, Julia Liu, in the newsroom. So, Julia, what are you seeing from net users on this decision to end the use of organs from executed prisoners for transplant operations?
Well, firstly, I should point out that until recently, this system was never acknowledged in China. And as you point out, the government only admitted to the practice in the last few years. So really, quite a lot of net users were unaware that organs were taken from executed prisoners in the first place. Nanjing Wangmin is one of them, saying, "Well, I always wondered why the prison authorities never returned prisoners' bodies to their family after execution, which will be relatively humane, but only their ashes. Now I understand the inside story." In fact, just as this practice has drawn widespread international criticism of China, so it seems a lot of Chinese net users, now that they know about it, are absolutely opposed to it too. 七边曙光 on Sina.com says, "Depriving someone of their life is punishment enough for the crime committed, but a body is innocent and should enjoy the same dignity as that of any other deceased." 完全燃烧 agrees. This practice simply degrades the prisoner's status from that of a human to an inanimate object, and this, of course, is unacceptable. Well, another poster from Fujian has a question which many ask as well. Well, have the organs really been taken with the prisoners and their families' consent yet? But there are also some hardlines who don't see anything wrong with the system as it is. This is from an anonymous poster in Zhejiang. Well, the criminals did no good for society when they were alive, so they should contribute something when they die to redeem themselves.
Well, despite that last poster's wishes, it seems that the practice is to be phased out one way or the other. But whatever about the ethics of it, you can't deny that the current system provides a steady supply of organs for transplant, which is suddenly going to dry up in the middle of next year. Are people online confident that enough voluntary donors can be found to make up the shortfall?
Well, there has been an effort by the government to alter views on donating organs, especially after death. But most net users seem to feel there's still a huge challenge ahead. In fact, according to the doctor you mentioned, Huang Jiefu, the number of organs donated voluntarily has risen from around 250 in all of 2011 to more than 900 in just the first 7 months of this year. But as he points out, that's still less than half the number of organs sourced from executed prisoners. And from what I can see, not many Chinese net users are prepared to take the lead in this yet. And I should explain that there's a strong taboo against interfering with the bodies of the dead in China. As Qiang Cheng points out, the concept that the deceased will only rest in peace when their bodies are buried or cremated intact still prevails, especially in less developed areas. And Xie Qingfu has another disincentive. While the current donation mechanism can't even ensure that donors are treated with dignity. But there are those who are online who want to encourage a change in thinking. Fang Yuan Qian says, "Well, it's a beautiful thing to extend someone's life by using your organs to save another person. If I donate my organs, then that may lead to someone else donating theirs to save my family or friends." Meanwhile, Lao Zhongyi has a suggestion for who should lead the way. Well, party members and government officials should take the initiative and set an example for the common people. And then this poster on Sohu.com suggests a payment might help, something not currently allowed in order to discourage trafficking. Well, if donors were offered some money, then there might be more people willing to do this, since at least the money might help their family out. Well, I certainly won't donate my organs for free.
Okay, since we're talking about organ donation, I guess the issue of organ allocation has to be discussed as well. What are net users saying about this, especially given that there does seem to be such a shortage of organs, basically not enough to go around?
Well, sure. And many net users mentioned a newly introduced system aimed at ensuring fairness and transparency in organ allocation. Well, under this, the decision about who receives an organ is made automatically through a national computer system with no human intervention. And the recipient is chosen depending on urgency, closeness of match, and time waiting. But even so, a few net users still have doubts about the actual results. As 轻松学点新计学 on Weibo.com points out, as there's such a scarce resource in China, organs have become valuable commodities in the eyes of some. And you can imagine, of course, the speculation that power or money will be used to bypass the allocation system. In fact, this is another reason why so many Chinese are so reluctant to donate organs voluntarily. This poster certainly isn't convinced. Well, I suspect that some medical institutions may get involved in illegal transactions of donated organs. And 太阳底下的世界 is clearer. Well, I refuse to donate unless I see the recipients face to face. My reputation will be tarnished too if my organ is used to save the life of a corrupt official. And of course, some have pointed out the discrepancy whereby the donor or the family get nothing, but the recipient does pay. Well, this poster comment is typical. People donate their organs for free, but the hospital charges the receiver sky-high prices for the operation. Well, this poster adds, well, I'd only consider becoming a donor if the hospital guaranteed only to charge a reasonable basic cost to the recipient. And finally, this poster has one more request. An independent third party has to be introduced into the allocation system to really guarantee its fairness.
Okay, thanks for that, Julia. And that was China Tech researcher Julia Liu with some online reaction there to the decision announcement that the organs of executed prisoners will no longer be used for transplant operations in China from the middle of next year. Next up on China Tech, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines.